looked for a job and was interviewed, it made a very good impression. When I decided that I had enough knowledge or enough skill to leave the art school, I found myself a furnished room, and I found myself a job. My first job interview was in a smallish shop. They did electric and gas welding, which I was very familiar with. They also did machine shop work and blacksmith work, believe it or not. And when I told the boss that I was familiar with all of that, whatever he had, you know, the kind of work that he had, he said, "I'm willing to hire you. When can you start?" Well, I said, I could start immediately, but, and I had the feeling that if there was any kind of anti-Semitic feeling among this man, that I would tell him, "Goodbye, thank you very much, but I'm not interested." However, he said to me, but what? I said, "I'm Jewish." And you know what he said to me? And it made me feel really, really good. "So what?" And that was wonderful. And he took me, he invited me to come home with him. On the way we stopped to buy fish and chips, what else? And he introduced me to his wife, and I worked for him for quite a while until I decided this business with the blacksmith work was just a little bit too much. There was the master blacksmith. He had a small hammer, and he showed me where to have the 12-pound sledgehammer, you know, to hit the metal. And I decided to get another job. So I got another job, and there was some very important war work being done, and it would take 2 weeks to get permission for me to do it, to start working there, because being a foreigner, you know, I was classified as a victim of Nazi oppression, but nevertheless. So I decided, I hadn't seen my sister in quite a while, and I went to see her. She lived in London in a hostel, and we spent practically all the money that I had left over, and we had ourselves a good time going to restaurants and the show and what have you. Not that I had that much money anyway, but anyhow, I came back and I reported for work, and the guy said, "I'm sorry, I can't hire you." I said, "Are you promised?" He said, "Yes, but in the meantime, the boss's son was killed by the Germans in the army." So I said, "What's that got to do with me?" I said, I tried to tell him that I hated the Nazis more than he did. They had done a lot more to me than they did to anyone, any Englishman that was around. Anyway, I had to look for another job, but I was without money to pay the rent on my furnished room, and and I took long walks instead of taking the trolley car wherever I wanted to go. But one of my old buddies, we were 105 kids, by the way, altogether, in that group that left Germany. One of my old buddies lent me the money, and I decided I'm never going to be in that shape anymore. And that's the reason why I always carry a penny on me. I'm never penniless. So, anyhow, everything worked pretty well for me in England, and I got another job very soon after. And I stayed there until 1947. And in the spring of 1941, I got a letter from America. My parents, you know, my mother applied for a visa in 1940, in 1938, in November, when the Kristallnacht came was there. And finally, in 1941, their quarter number came up. America was not in the war yet in the spring of 41. And I got a letter that we're in America. Thank God. My father, I never saw my father again. He died at the age of 59, but in freedom. And my mother lived to be 84. So I came to America. I found myself a job right away. But the first job interview, it was funny that the guy also wanted to hire me right away. They were two army buddies who started a business. One was Italian and the other one was Jewish. It was Oppenheimer and Mercantino. And they were in Jersey City, no, in Union City. And I lived in uptown New York in Washington Heights. So I had to take the train and I had to take a bus to go to Union City. And after the interview, I knew which direction the bus was to go back to New York, but I waited on the wrong side of the street. Do you know why? The traffic in England, you drive on the wrong side. Anyway, ever since then, I've been, as soon as I got onto my feet, I started supporting Ort, and my wife, who unfortunately passed away a year and a half ago. She was also a member of Ort. With Doris' mother, yes. And that's about the story. And I'm very happy we have a very nice son who takes care of me. He calls me almost every day. And he has three lovely granddaughters. I have three lovely granddaughters. And I'm very proud of them. And I'm very proud to be talking to you here. And I hope you enjoyed my talk. And I promised Dory that I would do a little musical entertainment. Yes. If there's anybody here who is a piano player, I want you to